Hey, peace. What's happening, everyone? On our deal with.
Ooh, yeah. Nah, nah, nah.
Suddenly there came a sound from heaven, as of a rushing mighty wind, like the rushing of a mighty wind, like the rushing of a mighty wind. Come and fill our hearts again, like the rushing of a mighty wind.
Yeah, blessings. Once again, you know the routine, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. All of that helps. So you don't know. Without any further ado, let's get started. KD, blessings to you. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. How about yourself? Can you hear me good?
Yeah, man, I can hear you real well. I can't complain enough. Medea Guan. What's on your mind?
No, man, I'm just listening to the conversation, man, and it sounds to me, I guess you don't think that Black people should get reparations. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I don't think it's in their best interest.
All right. What would you say is the reason for that, if you don't mind me asking?
The reason that I don't think it's in their best interest?
Right.
Because I think they would be saying what Dex is saying, that something is psychologically wrong with them. And I think that it's not in their best interest to go around saying there's something wrong with them psychologically. I think they would be kind of admitting that they are inferior, and they would be proving the so-called white supremacist right. But that's why I just don't think, I think if they accept reparations, they'll be admitting something is wrong with them, and they would give everyone else the right to look at them as if something is wrong with them.
Gotcha.
You know, and that's why I don't support it, because I don't think there's anything wrong with Black Americans. And it, you know, I don't want to repeat myself, but they're walking on a really, you know what I mean, on a slippery slope, because if they get this money, they won't be able to complain about anything anymore, because you said the reason you had this high murder rate, high criminal rate is... Well, let me say what I'm saying. After money or land or whatever, after you get this stuff, you have to be fixed. You know what I'm saying? You have to, now your murder rate got to go away now. And if it doesn't, you know what I mean, people are going to look at you like something is wrong with you. And when you got the reparations, you didn't use it to repair yourself. So I just think it's not in their best interest, mainly because I think they'll be admitting something is wrong with them. Me personally, I don't think something is wrong with me because of slavery. Like, if I was to say something, all of my shortcomings is because of slavery, I'd just be looking for an excuse, bro. That's just how I feel about it. And I'm not in the game of pretending something is wrong with me in order to get some free money.
So essentially, you're saying that you're not necessarily disagreeing with the fact that it's old, but more so with the fact that you don't think that Black people are prepared to receive those type of funds right now. You don't, am I understanding that correctly?
No, I'd say that I have a few objections. My strongest objection is what I said. They'd be admitting something is wrong with them, or they'd be claiming that they're psychologically inferior, and that's why they can't function like normal people. So they'd be admitting something is wrong with them. That's I would say that's my main number one objection to why I disagree with reparations. But I have other reasons. Like I literally don't, you know, they didn't go through slavery. They weren't slaves. So I don't know why they think they should get reparations for slavery. They didn't go through Jim Crow. I don't see, like, you know, this talk of generational wealth not being accumulated. Personally, I can't relate to that. And I think most immigrants have a hard time relating to this idea of because of slavery or Jim Crow, today they don't know how to function to to get a good job and or open a business and own a home and start generational wealth themselves. Because immigrants, when immigrants come here, they start their generational wealth within one generation. You really only need one generation to start generational wealth. And so for them to say throughout all these generations they can't do it, I just don't buy that. So I have a number of reasons why I oppose reparations. I don't buy the generational wealth story because I just don't relate to it, and most immigrants cannot. We come here with nothing and start something right away, and that's why we love this country, because this country gives us the opportunity to do that. And when people say they can't do that, they can't do what we're doing every day. We just don't relate to that.
Okay. So I think I have some points of where I agree with you and some points where I would disagree for sure. I'll start from where I would probably say I agree. I think I understand when you say that when it comes to reparations, we're coming from a place of like, kind of like asking for something, when in all actuality, reparations should be taken. It shouldn't be asked for. We shouldn't be trying to beg somebody to give us something that we're owed. We should be taking it. So that's the conversation that really needs to be had when it comes to reparations.
Not to cut you, but can you give me an example of a time when reparations was taken instead of granted or asked for?
So when I say taken, I'm not talking necessarily by force. I'm not talking about taking up arms and fighting a country. I'm more so discussing political pressure and things like that are put in place in order to get it. Like for example, when you look at the Jewish community, you look at how much power they hold in this country, and just in the world and world politics in general. They didn't necessarily get reparations by taking it by force, but what they did is they put themselves in a position politically and economically where they could force reparations to be paid, right? In that type of sense. So I get where you're saying that it's kind of like,
because I think, isn't that pretty much what ADOS is trying to do right now? Because I think ADOS more so than FBA. I think ADOS more so than FBA are more zoned in and have a reparations claim as their target in terms of a legal claim. And I think even in terms of lobbying politicians, I think ADOS has a track record of doing that type of stuff. So isn't that pretty much what they're doing as well? Trying to go the political route?
I'd say no, because the thing is politics without economics is dead. You can't force anything politically without having an economic base. So for them, they're trying to garner some sort of political support without having any kind of financial backing or anything, substance around the world that they could rally behind, So it's just more like them begging for reparations, and not even the lobbying part. We can't even talk about that because they're not even necessarily doing that. So yeah, it's quite different. And I think Claude Anderson was a proponent of what it is that I'm talking about. Have you ever taken a look at his book, Powernomics? Have you ever run across that?
I've heard of it, but I haven't read it.
It's a really good book, and I know a lot of people like to misquote Claude Anderson, but mostly Claude Anderson spoke about building economic bases, right, at the first level, building institutions, banks, hospitals, grocery stores, things like that. And then using the resources from those institutions and funneling those things into political power, and voting as a block, things along those lines. So I would say that, that is the route that we should be looking to try to go, rather than just trying to you know, ask politicians things, march and protest and things like that. Because these things, they get attention, but they don't have any substance behind them, and that's the problem with them. So, I'll say that, like, us coming from as far as trying to ask for reparations, coming from like a submissive standpoint of trying to get it like that, I would say I would agree with you. I don't necessarily like where that comes from. Now, where I would disagree with you is, I would say that reparations is most certainly something that is old. It's kind of like, I guess you could say, unearned wages as it pertains to slavery. When it came to Reconstruction and Jim Crow,
unearned wages.
Yeah, I would say.
Why would anyone pay someone else unearned wages?
Well, it's I guess you could kind of say that it's similar to, when you get a settlement check, when somebody from a job, like when your beneficiaries get a settlement check from a job, or Social Security, like when you have a parent that dies, Social Security actually pays you out a certain amount, for that parent that died. And
that's not unearned, man. That's not unearned. Your parent, that's your parents, like your parents pay into Social Security.
Right, but you say that with slavery, that was kind of like that. That was earned labor that was never paid. Is how you can kind of look at it. I might have phrased that wrong when I said unearned benefits. I meant earned benefits that were never paid. Should I say?
Okay.
Yeah, I think I said that wrong. I apologize.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I would look at it, and I do think that reparations are, I would just say that it's old, and outside of slavery, there were other instances where opportunity was, you could say, taken. Like, for example, like cities were destroyed, like things like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and other black cities that were burned down, and highways that were built over certain black neighborhoods. There's actually a lake right now in Georgia. It's called Lake Lanier, which was a city. It was a black city that they actually destroyed and then made it into a lake, which is crazy. But there were lots of other instances that were.
And I don't like, if there are people today that are descendants of the people that lived on Black Wall Street, for example, that can prove that they have their descendants of those people. I don't have a problem with them. I don't see a problem with them going a route and trying to get reparations from whomever they think they should get reparations from. But just as a blanket check to everyone, like, that idea of reparations doesn't make sense to me, because every black person has a psychological damage. Like, that type of reparations doesn't make sense to me. If someone has a claim and can prove that their ancestors lived on Black Wall Street, lost everything they had, let them make a claim, and they can show how because of that they can't do anything today. Let them try and make a claim in court. It's going to be difficult, but let them pursue their claim. But the main reparations idea that I am opposed to is this. I guess it's closer to this global reparations that Dex is talking about, where if you're black, you get some reparations money. You don't have to. Okay. Before we go any further, though, Leonard, Leonard, welcome to the panel. How you doing today? What's on your mind?
I'm doing good. I just want to add some, just go straight logic, no chaser, no opinion, none of that, as much as I can. Now, Reparations. The meaning of it is what?
Repair. To repair.
Okay, repair. Now, can someone state how they have been broken?
Yes. Psychologically, we've been broken.
No. Don't say we've.
No,
You as an individual.
No. I'm trying to be honestly and sincere. A lot of black
You
people,
are being honest and sincere, but you know yourself better than anyone else in the world. So what I would like for you to do is for you to tell me how you have been broken.
But the problem with that question is
No,
that
that's not the problem with the question.
As soon as you say but, you've delineated everything you said prior.
Hey, hold on. Let me ask you this.
No, I'm going to answer.
Would you say that your parents have an impact on your situation growing up? Would you say that? Would you say that your parents played a role in how you grew up?
You talking about me or him?
I'm talking to the brother that was asking about direct damage.
Oh, yes. My parents played a direct role in my upbringing, thus and so, blah, 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 like their parents before them, their parents before them, their parents before them.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
Right. Exactly. So it doesn't have to be direct. It's an indirect damage that was most certainly done.
No, bro.
Yes, it was. We cannot argue with
facts. Excuse me.
Hold on.
Excuse me.
If you're telling me that your parents play a huge role as far as how you grew up and the circumstances of
how I grew up.
How can you in the same breath say that you weren't affected indirectly by the circumstances of your parents? If your parents were slaves,
easy.
You don't think that would play a role in what would happen to you growing up?
Let's please go there. Yeah. My father is a World War II Army veteran. Fought in World War II. I served in Afghanistan and Iraq. Were those wars similar?
A war is a war.
No, they weren't similar. No. So do not say, my father telling me, hold on. Let me finish, and I'll be brief. My father telling me what he experienced in Europe, and my older brother telling me what he experienced in Vietnam when he was a Vietnam veteran, and myself being an Afghanistan, Iraq war veteran. None of the three wars are the same. Stop it.
War is war.
No, war is not war. War is not war.
Hold on, Leonard. Let me ask you this: if your father wasn't in the military,
do
you think you would have went in the military?
Yes. My father died when I was 3.
He capping.
My father died when I was 3. Why? Now let me explain to you why I went into the military. I remember I was in kindergarten and I'm sitting there and my brother was home from Vietnam about to come pick me up. Now I'm thinking he's gonna wear his whole uniform. Can I finish my story? He's gonna come and pick me up from school in his uniform, right? He's gonna pick me up in his uniform, and I'm looking out the window, looking for him to come on, walking down the street, looking for him to come to the school. I'm all excited. Now he didn't pick me up in his uniform, but I remember when he came home the first time and he had his uniform on, and I saw the 2 A's on there and airborne, and I was like, "Ooh, what's that?" He said, "That's all American, airborne." Oh, and who would someone want to be like? Their older brother, if not their father. Okay, so seeing as my father had passed away when I was 3, I wanted to be like my older brother. So what did I end up? I ended up 101st Airborne.
Because
hello,
it's not directly
let him talk.
Hello, I ended up 101st Airborne. Hello.
You're really proving my point at the end of the day.
No, I'm not proving anything. You are not making.
Hang on, Leonard. Let him speak.
Okay, I'm gonna let him cook.
If your family wasn't in the military, the chances of you being in the military would be far, far less. But because your family was in the military, you had your experience was that of somebody in the military, right? Or directly connected to someone in the military.
Oh my God.
So, and you can look up the statistics. There are statistics on this. People who are in the military are far more likely for their kids to be in the military along with them, right behind them.
So let me finish on the plate.
Let me finish what I'm saying. It's the same situation where you have kids where if they're, no matter what you do, your kids are far more likely to follow in your footsteps than whatnot.
Okay, check this out. You know what I never did?
Leonard, let him finish, Leonard.
Okay. Like it's a cycle. So if you start off as a slave, right? The mentality that you develop as a slave, usually that's going to be something that's going to be passed on to your children, and your children's children, and your children's children's children. What you do today affects your kids. Period. So I don't understand why why we're trying to remove parents from their children.
Okay, well,
you have a
American Dream will back me up on this. He knows this for a fact about me. Okay, I'm not a descendant of slavery. That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
So
that's the problem.
It's not a problem. I'm not a descendant. No.
Take a DNA test. That's all. When y'all
take a DNA test, bruh. I have my family background.
When y'all make these claims, y'all have no substantial proof backed by science whatsoever.
Oh, now you need scientific proof when you can't. A lot of you all do not even know who your great granddaddy is, let alone your great grandmama. Let's go there.
Hey, hang on a second. Hang on a second, y'all. Hang on, KD. KD, let me try and answer your question a little bit in terms of, because there's one thing to say, if Leonard, I'm sure, lived with his parents.
Yes,
right?
I did.
So whatever circumstances was going on with his parents that he lived with, I can see how that can have an impact on Leonard because he was there, right? But what y'all are talking about here is that y'all are impacted by slavery, which happened 400 years ago. You were not there, but somehow it's affecting you. The same thing with Jim Crow. You were not there. It's not like it was happening to your parents and you were there with them. Hang on, Leonard. So what you're saying, KD, just doesn't hold water to me because you weren't physically there. So to say you can be just as affected by something you weren't physically around as something you were physically around, it just doesn't make sense to me.
KD, could I respond?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna let you go right after me because it's gonna be quick. But so when you're talking about a system is passed through generations. That means that a system is one thing happening in a social constructive way. So this is why we brung the fact that if he was in the military, it obviously had to have some influence from his previous life. So from his previous lineage. So when we're talking about systems, we're talking about these people have been benefiting for this amount of time throughout these many generations. Money is still being passed down through generational wealth and all these factors through Fortune 500 companies that we do not have any access to or control of whatsoever. And all we're saying is hand it over. We're not asking for it. We're not just hand it over. Hand over what you took from us. If your car break down right now, if somebody break your car window, do you expect them to replace it or do you expect you to replace it? That's the problem. If somebody
but that's different from that's different from me.
Thank you.
That's
different.
No, it's not different. It
is different.
It's your property.
It is different.
No, it's not your property.
You bought it.
That's
The
like
slaves,
that's like
the
Dex.
slaves
Hold
didn't
on,
own the
Dex.
damn
You
thing.
own something.
Hold on a
If you
second.
own
Hold on a
something and
second.
somebody take it away from you,
The slaves
Dex,
didn't
you're
own
saying
anything. So how
that's
you gonna take something
that's
from
a
somebody
lie.
that doesn't
That's
own
a lie.
anything?
We were the wealthiest people on the planet Earth. Not
No,
by
you
just
weren't.
money, not by
Stop
just
it.
currency, not just by currency,
Stop
but
it.
by genetics too
So-
as well.
So Dex, we ain't even got to go that far because
Okay, look.
Because,
This,
hold on.
here you
hold
American
on,
great.
Leonard. Leonard, don't just
Let
cut
me.
him off like that. Let KD
Leonard.
finish, then you
Okay,
can go,
well,
Leonard.
you had Katie, then let me go so I can sum all this up for you quickly since he's bringing so much military into it and since black Americans are so anti-military.
All right, let him go.
Well, let me do this. Leonard, I'm gonna ask you. Would you say that your life has been impacted in any way by your grandmother and your grandfather?
No, I wouldn't because I don't know them personally.
But they raised your parents.
Yeah, they raised my parents. They surely did.
So your parents were affected, and we already.
And my great grandparents raised them, and my great grandparents
but
before them.
We going too far. We're going too far.
No, we're not. You can't go too far.
Hold on. Wait a minute. I'm saying that your grandparents raised your parents, and we already talked about how parents affect their kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if your grandparents affected your parents, then that directly has an effect on you as their child, correct?
Okay, well, if that's the case, explain to me why my great grandparents on both sides had one child each, but my grandparents had 10 children.
What are you saying to say that?
What I'm saying is my great grandparents, they had one child. Because for generations prior to, there was only 1 to 2 childbirths in my family. My direct grandparents are the first in our history as a man and woman have 10 children.
That's
okay.
That's a subjective.
No, that's not subjective. That's the actual fact. Need I name them? Need I name them? So stop talking about.
No,
the
Leonard,
fact.
you don't have to name them. You don't have to name them.
Okay, I'm
Leonard.
not going to name them, but you know I will.
But KD, do you get his point?
No, I don't actually. I don't understand this.
I think his point is that if what you're saying is true, then like his great grandparents, his grandparents would have also just had one child, but they didn't. And I think he's just saying that just because your great grandparents believed one way or acted a certain way or held a certain job, that doesn't dictate everything about you and what you're going to do. You're an individual with your own thoughts and your own ideas, and you know what I mean, like it doesn't have to be this one-to-one thing that you're trying to make it seem. I don't want to misrepresent what you're saying, Leonard, so
you're not. You're right on point. The thing is this, okay? Hold on. If I may, focusing on military now. Plenty of black American men were drafted, right? They used that money to leave the Jim Crow South and come to the North for better opportunities. Now, why did my older brother go to Vietnam? It wasn't because our father fought in World War II. It was because our older brother had got hired as a Chicago police officer, so he went so his older brother wouldn't have to.
Okay.
That's what. Hold on. Can I finish?
Hold on, Katie.
No, can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead,
bro. Go ahead, finish.
Can I finish? Jeez. So he did that so that our oldest brother could progress as a Chicago police officer. Then my oldest brother, from mentoring him, hey, this is he became a Chicago police officer, right? Right. So the path that was laid before me was, you're going to be a Chicago police officer. And me, I was like, I don't like you people. I'm leaving. I'm joining the military and I'm leaving. Yes, I like my brother's uniform. I loved it. I joined the military to get the hell away from impoverished ghetto black people forever, and it worked.
Oh,
Okay,
wow,
okay.
So Leonard, let me just say this: the argument was never whether or not parents mirror, or children mirror their parents, right? If
Yes,
you got
it was.
kids, I'm sure they don't do. Hold on, if you got kids, I'm sure they don't do the same thing you do, like that. No, that's
No,
not.
yes,
What
it was.
that's not what the argument is.
No, that's what it was. Your parents' influence. Now hold on. Let me give you one tip.
Hold on,
Larry
Leonard.
Hoover.
Leonard, let him finish,
Hold
Leonard.
on. Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover's son is not a gang member, gang leader, anything.
Leonard,
But his father was.
Let him respond.
Let me respond. The argument isn't whether or not kids mirror their parents, because we know that they don't. Kids do what they do at the end of the day. But we're not going to pretend like the actions of the parents don't play a role in the life decisions that their kids make going forward, right? It definitely plays a role. If you take a child and you put them in education, or you put them in sports, or you put them in whatever it is you decide to put them in growing up, there's a higher percentage chance that child will lean into whatever it is that you bred them to do, right? This is why you got a lot of professional athletes who their kids become professional athletes, because they're trained up as children to become professional athletes, right? Your upbringing, however you raise your kid, they're more likely. Like for me, for example, I was raised in the church, right?
Hold on, Leonard. Hold on, Leonard.
Okay, I'm hold, because that's crazy. But
it's not crazy. I was raised in the church, so it was set up for me to be, in the church, a pastor or a preacher or something like that. I ended up going another direction, but it was a higher, like, people like my peers and things like that, people who I went to school with who are also raised in the church with me. A lot of them went on to become pastors and preachers and prophets and all that, because they were raised that way. So this is what I'm trying to say to you here, Leonard. Like, you're not gonna, your kids aren't gonna.
But so were you, though. You were raised that way, and you didn't go out that way.
KD, could I just ask American Dream one question, because I want to get back to the topic at hand. So American Dream, you sat here and said that you don't believe that that we're psychologically impaired in today's society.
You're not.
Not as a group. No, are there psychologically impaired individuals? Absolutely. As a group, are all black people psychologically damaged because of slavery?
Hell to the no.
Nobody.
And that's the point that we're disagreeing on. See, me and KD is saying that we directly...
Hold on. Before you speak for KD, do you believe that all black people are psychologically damaged because of slavery?
Not necessarily because of slavery, but because of racism. So
okay. Oh my God!
So racism? You think we are psychologically damaged? All black people are psychologically damaged?
I think black people most certainly as a whole. So this doesn't mean everybody, but most as a whole do suffer from racism, and there is some psychological impact that plays.
Oh my goodness!
Hang on, before you go on, Dex. I'm going to come right back to you. But KD, can you give us an example of how your psychological damage manifests itself in everyday life?
Well, we can look at we can go to religion real quick. So,
oh my goodness,
we can go to religion real, and I'm not going to go deep into it. I'm not going to go there too. Hold on, Leonard. Dang. Wait a minute.
Can we talk about exact personal?
No, hang on, Leonard. I really want to know how. I really want to know how KD's psychological damage manifests itself.
Absolutely. So let's talk about it for a second. So let's talk about religion for example, right? When you go to church, right, all the imagery that you see in church, when they talk about Jesus, when they talk about all these different people that took place, they're all images of white people. But we all know that historically speaking, when you think about the events that took place in the Bible, they're all events that took place in Africa, right? So, but the thing is, the question is why are all these characters portrayed as white people? And, we ain't got to go deep into the Bible, because at the end of the day, like that's crazy. That's why I'm not in it. But this is just an example of what I'm saying. Now, growing up, your image of what God is, what Jesus is, right? Your deity is the image of a white person, right? And then you think about religion, you think about how, Black people were forced into Christianity, as a part of what they were brought into through slavery. You think about all these different events that took place, and you understand that this is a part of the programming that took place as a result of slavery and racism.
Hold on, Katie. Katie, I'm asking you specifically. How
Yeah,
does the
I'm affected by
psychological
that too.
damage
My image.
manifest itself in your life? Like, do you wake up every morning and smack yourself for no reason?
That's
Do you
not
wake up
that's not
and do
That's not
you
psychological
necessarily
cut
what you would
yourself for
call
some reason?
psychological.
Like, how does the psychological damage manifest in your life? Because you're Black,
Well,
so you have
for
to have a
years,
psychological damage. What is
I
it?
had the image of a white God, a white Jesus. That's psychological damage.
exactly.
Because
Oh
of
my God.
racism.
Okay.
Yeah, that's racism.
American Drain.
Whitewashing.
Okay, and what has that prevented you from doing?
Thank you.
Well,
You asked my
it
question.
prevented me from seeking the God that resides within myself. To know that God is made within. I am in the image of God. Right. It's not no one else. Right.
So
I
when
don't.
did
I
it
don't have to
stop
go to
doing
God
that?
for anyone
So
else.
when did it stop
I'm
doing
God.
that?
So, but go ahead.
So when did it stop doing that? Because it sounds as if you're now finding the true God within yourself. So
Right.
when did the psychological damage end for you?
Oh, it took years of deprogramming. Honestly, it took
You
you. It took
deprogrammed yourself?
Yeah, I had to. Even now, I'm still a little affected by it, if we're being honest. But it
Okay,
took
so
me.
you
I had
do
to
think
educate
people can
myself.
you think people can deprogram themselves?
Yes.
Sure, you can. You can. It's a process, but
And they can do
yeah.
that without reparations?
Can you do it
Uh-oh.
without
Yes.
reparations?
Well,
There
did
has
you have reparations?
Yeah,
You didn't get any reparations and you deprogrammed,
yes,
that's
but
true.
that's
I
just
didn't
one
get
example.
reparations, and I
but you
deprogrammed myself.
deprogrammed, so you can actually do it without reparations.
Hey, Katie, let me
Well, that's
respond
not
to
the
you.
question. You can.
Yeah.
No,
You can.
that is the
We
question I'm
don't.
asking. That's the question
Yeah,
I'm
you can.
asking.
You don't necessarily need reparations. It's not something you could do it without reparations if that's what you're trying to say. But at the end of the day, there's no question as to whether or not it's owed. It's definitely owed, and it should be paid. But and at the end of the day, I think it should be, I already said it earlier. It should be taken. It shouldn't be asked for. It should be
Right.
taken.
So, and you think,
Go ahead.
you're owed reparations because you went to church and started to believe Jesus was white. So they
I mean,
owe you
that's only a
reparations
small
for that.
part of it,
Not a
though.
direct.
That's
That's
only
not
a
a
small
direct.
part of it.
Yeah,
But
that's
Yeah,
that's the
not.
example
you
you gave me.
trivializing it,
Dex, go
which
ahead,
is
Dex. You wanted to say something, Dex?
Yeah, because your question, my question was originally to you, and I want to give multiple examples. That was a good example, Katie, by the way. But so let's look at the most recent example that we could see in today's society right now. When you see African woman, African American or indigenous woman, as y'all claim to be or whatever, or claim them to be, whatever, a black woman walking the street in today's society, and they have on a white weave or a weave in general, straight long hair, is that not psychological damage?
psychological damage. Yeah, great example.
From
No,
slavery?
That
No.
is psychological damage. If you
that's not psychological
When you
damage
teach people to,
in connection with
hate,
slavery. No, it's
listen,
not.
hold on. Let me just piggyback on what he said. When you teach people to hate their own self-image,
Oh my
that is
God. Here we go.
psychological damage. Because guess what? You hate yourself. How can you operate in your highest frequency when you hate your image? You trying to look like someone else. You're not. This is psychological damage.
You
And
know,
Okay,
there's plenty of
American
research and
Dream. Let
plenty
me
of
let me
studies
throw
that will
something.
back up what you're
Let
saying.
me throw something on the table that would make just as much sense as what these gentlemen are saying. Now, it is said during slavery you had these things called breeding farms. Is it not?
You don't even believe in slavery, so why?
Stop. I didn't ask you for your opinion.
Go ahead, man.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Now, it is said historically there was this thing called breeding farms of slavery. Is that true or not true?
True.
Okay, that is true. So I could equally use that to formulate an opinion based on that as of why 70% plus Black American children are born out of wedlock.
I don't get what the point you're making.
Oh, what I'm getting is you get married, you have a baby. In the Black American community, because there's no such as African American, because you're not an immigrant. Black American community, you look at the percentage of children born out of wedlock being raised in single mother homes, and it's the same as breeding farms. Okay.
Could you back up? You just said that we are not an immigrant. That's what you said.
Why were there breeding?
No,
farms?
You're not an immigrant.
Why were there breeding farms?
Matt, hold on. Let me ask you for deeper context into your actual point. So you said that we did not migrate over here to America, and you don't believe that?
It was not voluntary migration.
No, I'm talking about even
stop. Can I finish? That was for you all that are talking all this slavery stuff. Now, you had voluntary migration, which were the Aboriginal Africans, the original sailors of the seas that settled in the western portion of this continent we know as North America. Hello.
What?
Oh, you don't know about the Aboriginal Africans, huh?
Well, I know about.
Oh, you know about it. The East Coast.
Let's just start here.
East Coast Africans.
Let's start
here. That the African. Hold on. Let me explain this out.
Wait a minute. Let's start here for a second, because you mentioned breeding farms, and you made a correlation between breeding farms.
Exactly.
And what actually did today, right?
Mm-hmm.
But why were there breeding farms?
Because the more slaves you had, the more production you could have on your plantations. Now let me go up here.
But who put the breeding farms in place?
Now let me go here.
Leonard, hold on, before you move on. Who put them in place?
The slave owners.
Okay, so so this is what we're talking about when we say.
Okay, now let me expound on that.
Wait a minute, because
now I gotta keep waiting because I'm making too much sense.
Wait, Leonard, you helping us out a lot right now.
No, I'm not. I'm making too much sense.
You mentioned breeding farms, and you mentioned how that has a direct correlation on how black men.
No, I didn't say.
Right?
Nope.
Yeah,
See, that's where you're wrong.
I heard you.
No. That's where you're wrong. Okay. Listen good.
I heard you good.
Listen, get some Q-tips. Get some Q-tips and clean out. Get some Q-tips. No.
Yeah, let's not talk. Hello, gentlemen. Let's not talk over each other. It's just noise.
You're talking and you're not listening. Now, get some Q-tips, clean out your ears. Now,
let
American
him
Dream, he will co-sign on the fact that I said, since there were breeding farms, and that's historically true, I could use that argument to say that's why you have so many children born out of wedlock today, right? I could use that. It would be incorrect. It would be incorrect. See? Well, that's because of slavery. Because, our women were used as breeders. And now you got all these sisters out here. They just don't know what to do other than keep pushing out babies for every time Dick and Hank that smile in their face and see. And Black people spend so much time blaming white people for every little thing that they can't doggone progress in this country. And that is a fact.
KD, let me ask you a question, KD. You said, you gave the example of Black women with wigs that want to look like white women, and that's because of slavery. But from the way I see it, FBA, one of FBA's talking points is that everybody copies their style. Everybody dresses like them. Everybody listens to their music. Everybody just wants to be like them.
That's
So
good.
what is it about everybody else that makes them, because it can't be slavery, right? It's not slavery why everybody wants to be like FBA. Why does it have to be the legacy of slavery why some black women wear their hair like white women do when everybody else wants to be like y'all? Like, can you help me understand that?
American Dream. If you're looking for me to argue on behalf of FBA, you got the wrong guy. I am not.
Nah, but
I am not
this is, but
FBA.
regardless of whether it's
American
FBA or
Dream.
not, whether it's
Yeah.
FBA or not, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Black people like to say, it's not just FBA. Black people in general like to say that, you know, everybody steals their swag and everybody wants to be like them.
Mhm.
So and so why does, and that has nothing to do with their history of slavery or anything traumatic that they went through, right? Why does it have to be something traumatic for black women to want to copy somebody else's swag?
Well,
See?
well, I don't know which black people you're referring to because
The ones
I mean,
which
Oh,
black
no,
people,
Go
which
ahead.
black people say
American Dream.
people steal their swag? You've never heard that before? You never heard black people say that?
Yeah.
I mean,
American Dream.
I've never,
If I could
never.
expound.
The
Hold on.
only
I want to
people
know
who
if
I
KG
hear
has
say
heard of
this,
that.
the only people who I've heard of that says this is FBA. I don't hear any other black people in America say anything like that. Sure,
There
you
you
might
go.
have an individual that might say, "Hey, you stealing my swag," you know, for that particular individual. But there's no group of black Americans outside of FBA and maybe ADOS, I don't know, that have come out and said, "Ah, you stealing my swag." That is an
Well,
FBA talking point. That's what that is.
okay, well, that proves the point regardless. Whether it's just a FBA talking point, they say it. They feel like everybody's bite is taking their swag, and it has nothing to do with those people being enslaved. So stealing swag has nothing to do with the legacy of slavery. That's the only point I'm making. Everybody steals swag. You can go to Japan and find a whole hip hop community
Sure
where they
can.
dress like black Americans. You can go to China and find a whole a dance hall reggae community where they listen to is dance hall music. They dress
Mhm.
like Jamaicans. You can find that everywhere, and they weren't enslaved. There's no legacy of slavery on their mind. There are a bunch of reasons why people take other people's style or whatever. Maybe black women just like how white women's hair look. That doesn't have to be because they were slaves, bro.
That's false. That's psychological damage at its finest. Ain't nobody else on planet Earth wearing as much weave as they are. Let's keep it 100.
That is true.
Okay. Who came up with the term systemic racism? Who came up with that?
That has always been an English word.
No. I didn't ask you that. I asked you one simple question. I know the answer because I'm older than the term systemic racism. Who brought it up? Who invented that? Do tell.
Why is that relevant in the conversation?
Why is it relevant? Because black people tend to doggone spew information that they think is true, and they don't even know the origin of the information that are coming out of their mouth. They don't know.
So y'all,
Do you
y'all
believe? So are you saying that to say that you don't believe there's any systemic racism? Is that what you're saying, Leonard?
Yes, there is no such as systemic racism. Systemic racism is a system that is set up to prevent people from coming up and doing what they do, which that ended in the Jim Crow era when it ended. Thank
Okay,
you.
all right. So I got a question then. If that's the case, right? How do you explain that that black people own less than 1% of the wealth in this country when we're 13% of the population? How do you explain that?
Lazy.
Oh, so black people are lazy. Okay, I got you.
I can step out my back door. I can step out my back door and be like, you see all this land? You see all this land that's called my backyard?
Let me ask you another question.
How did I get that?
How do you explain that black people are systematically the most incarcerated, but only 13% of the population? How do you explain that?
That's not true anymore. Stop it. It used to be. It's not true anymore.
So black people aren't the most incarcerated?
Stop.
Yes or no?
No. No.
Just put
Okay,
the
Look it
so I
up.
mean, this
United
is
States next.
easily Googleable.
Google it then. Google it.
All right, we Google it
I
right
can tell you
now.
who's got the
I'm up.
worst credit rating. Mm.
And that's a
Google
system.
that too.
That's a system. You're proving our point.
No,
You can
I'm not
find
proving
any.
your point. Bruh, I'm living real good. How are you living? That's the proof.
Hey, listen, I got my daughter in my hand. That's how I'm living.
Okay. You got your daughter in your hand. Oh, beautiful. I have two wonderful children that are
So the
six
wealth
figures,
gap is what
that
it
are six
is
figures,
because
that
of
are
black
six
people are
figures
lazy.
after taxes. They are six figures after taxes. I have a granddaughter
Listen, you
that is
talking about
that
listen,
is going to doggone graduate from a HBCU and she didn't have to pay for college at all. Thank you, Uncle Sam,
Okay,
military.
so according to the U.S.,
Okay, so
hold
it's
on.
like this here. I can step out here and do all of this, and my children's homes are bigger than mine. Okay, because they have children.
you
I
pay
don't need
property
all that
taxes.
room.
Do you pay
I'm a
property
single nester. Okay,
you pay property taxes?
so like I said, how you living? How you living, bruh? How you living? I'm
Okay,
about to go to the
so
store. I'm
Leonard.
about to make a
Hold on,
store run, and I'm going to go on
Leonard.
mute when I go
Hold
to
on,
the
sir.
store.
Hold on,
Hold on,
sir.
I'm
Hang
gonna go
on,
to the
y'all.
store.
Hang on, y'all. We're losing control of ourselves.
No,
Hang
we're
on a
not. I'm
second.
like saying this systemic
Hang
racism,
on.
this and that. So why
Hang,
is my high school dropout self? Why am I so successful in this great country of ours? Of course, I had to go
hang
back to
on.
high
Hang
school
on.
2 years later to get my high school diploma. But why this kid from the south side of Chicago, where they throw up racks, G love, gangster love, all this other stuff, Hoover,
You
Barstow. How did I end up becoming so
you one
successful?
guy out of 55
No, I'm
million
not.
people,
I'm
sir.
not
But
one guy.
anyway, yeah, you are
All
one
the
guy.
doggone,
But listen,
all of my
listen.
doggone friends are
Hold on. Wait a
successful.
minute. Hold on. When I do a quick Google search, it tells me that reports indicate black individuals make up 37% of the prison population in jail, while only 13% of the overall US population. So how
Hmm.
do you explain that, sir?
Easy, because 30% of Black Americans are welfare recipients, and what 50? What is it? 54%, if I'm not mistaken, are middle class earners. Mm. And who
KD.
sold? And who told you to go out there and sell dope? You did that because you wanted to.
White people sell more drugs than black people.
No,
So
don't compare black and white. Don't do that. Because
Not.
if you doggone check your DNA, you got white in your doggone DNA too.
how do black people get the dope to sell? Where do they get the dope from?
Right.
The same place that they got libraries in every ghetto neighborhood to go read books. White
Oh, so
people.
you dodging the question. I got you.
No, I'm not. I just said the answer. For every
So they get
doggone
dope from the
drug that's dropped
libraries.
in any ghetto, you have a public
But
library
how
that's
did it
built
get to
by
the ghetto? How did it
white
get
people
there?
too.
Leonard, how did it get to the ghetto, sir?
How did it get to the ghetto? The same way the public library did. White folks did it. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay. All right.
KD.
All right. Just
KD.
wanted to
KD.
make that clear. Uh-huh.
KD. KD. Do you think that if someone was charged with murder, right, with shooting someone and killing them,
Ooh, that's
right?
good.
Do you think that person could go in court and say, "Well, judge, where did I get the gun from?" Or do you think that person would, regardless of where he got the gun from, do you think he's still responsible for pulling the trigger on it?
Not if he snitched.
Of course he's responsible for pulling the trigger, but we got to look at the environment that person's put in. Would you say that somebody who is born into poverty, would you say that person has a higher or lower or a lower percentage chance of getting into criminality?
If you live in the, if you live in the, if you're poor,
Yeah, if you're poor, would you say that you have a more likely chance of getting into criminality or a less likely chance of getting into criminality?
I think it depends on the type of crime you're talking about, and I don't know about those statistics. I don't know if being
Well, crime
poor
is crime
automatically
either
means
way.
you're going to be
American
a
Dream.
criminal.
Let me
I don't
help
know
you
if
out.
hang on, Leonard,
Allow me to
hang
help
on,
you.
Leonard,
Fine.
hang on. I don't know if being poor automatically means, you know what I'm saying, you're going to be a criminal. I just don't see that as a correlation.
Well, not automatically, but we're talking about percentages. We're talking about odds, right? Because nothing is absolute, right? Everything is, for the most part, is shades of gray, right? So what it is situations are set up to where the odds are this is the likely effect, and the odds are that is the likely effect. So when I say that being born into poverty makes you more susceptible to enter into criminality, odds are, it would set up that way that it would be true. It's set up for you to be in poverty, to be enter into criminality.
Called
If
cause
that
and
makes
effect.
sense.
It's called cause and effect.
Okay, well, I'm
And
wondering why all of the guys that I know that grew up with me, that grew up right down the street from Larry Hoover, and y'all know who Larry Hoover is. Hello, David Barksdale, Jeff Ford, all them Chicago gangsters. Why is it that so many that I know that grew up on the same street, we're doing great, and only one, count again, one went to prison for selling dope? We were all in the hood though. Come on now, y'all know, y'all look.
Let's look
I
at
ain't gonna throw. Hold on, bro. I'm not gonna throw.
Today.
Bruh, stop it. I'm not gonna throw up pitchforks and all that. Like, I'm Black Gangster Disciple Nation. That never was. I'm not gonna false flag. But I'm just saying, how is it that we did our thing and we never got convicted for drug selling because we did what? We went to doggone trade school, college, or the military. Those three choices were there for us to doggone make, to succeed and leave Inglewood on the south side of Chicago, 60621. You dig? And we out.
All right, what about the system that was in place that's happening today, though? Like,
what you mean that's happening today?
Look at the GDs and the BDs today. What are they doing?
The who?
The GDs and the BDs. The same
like
people.
I said, the who?
God, bro. The black
disciples. Yeah, the BDs and the GDs of the day.
Yeah, what are
they? Man,
they
like Crips and Bloods. They ain't even they have no organization, no nothing, and they ain't getting money.
Exactly. And this is what we're talking about when it's a system.
Yeah, exactly. They ain't getting money. So why are they running around doggone waving a flag for an organization that they ain't even getting money? They not growth and development. None of that. And I was never affiliated. You see what I'm saying? But I'm from that area, so I know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm one of them that could tell you Larry Hoover's address when he lived in the hood right down the street around the corner from me.
Hey, listen,
but you got all these youngins. Now let me translate that over into this systemic racism. No one's told me when the term systemic racism came about and who did it, so I guess I have to help you youngins out. Stokely Carmichael, Black Panthers, 1967. That's when it became popular. Systemic racism. Remember Angela Davis, Power to the People, all of that. It was proven through DNA and doggone documentation that her family came to the United States on the Mayflower. She's not a part of slavery in the United States. And she's not the only one. Oh, it gets so deep. It gets so good, don't it? Well, all these black folk running around talking about we were slaves and they don't even know their history, who they people were and where they came from. So they just latch on to slavery as an excuse for failure.
Okay, I got a question for you since we talking about that. So
I have an answer.
So you don't believe that the mass majority of black people came from the transatlantic slave trade?
Oh, the transatlantic slave trade was exactly what it was. But it was hellified black folk in this country before the transatlantic slave trade even started. Hello. The Aboriginal Africans.
So you believe there were more people over here before we got through the transatlantic slave trade?
Aboriginal Africans were already on this land before slavery was even a doggone thought in the mind of anyone.
I'm talking about numbers. I'm not talking about what you think.
I'm talking about numbers too. Where do you think these so-called American Indians came from? You think they just popped up?
Dude, it's not backed by any science or any statistics.
That's because these so-called American Indians won't get DNA tests. Because if they do, you'll find out that their doggone DNA consists of Aboriginal African and Mongoloidian DNA. The Mongoloids that crossed over from what's now known as Russia through Australia and migrated south.
That's a theory. That's a theory.
That's not a theory. That's a fact.
Hang on a second, y'all. Before I forget this question, KD, do you think that if someone is charged and found guilty of murder, do you think that they should get whatever sentence they're given, it should be lessened because of the poverty that they lived in?
No.
No. So
I do not.
The poverty. So, but you think, and the reason I'm asking is because you seem to have been saying that the reason that there are so many black people are in prison is because of poverty, and that you kind of said we have to look at their background and if they're in poverty. So, but if that can't be used as a reason to lessen their sentence, then poverty is not an excuse for any criminal behavior.
It's not an excuse.
No, hang on. I'm asking JD. I'm asking KD.
Well, I wouldn't say that because poverty, we still all have free will. So just because your circumstances put you in a situation that would make it more likely for you to commit crime, it doesn't justify the crime. You still did the crime at the end of the day. But the way that we should be looking at this, though, is through the eyes of numbers and population and systemic. This goes back to systemic issues.
And no one's told me the year, but I already gave it to you all.
If somebody's setting up the circumstances for them to be a disproportionately higher rate of people that commit crime, that in itself is the problem. That's the problem that we got to discuss. Not necessarily the fact that they committed a crime, but the fact that circumstances were put in place in order for there to be a higher likelihood.
So what do you mean circumstances were put in place? Like people commit crime for so many different reasons. Like what circumstance are you going to try and fit? Now you're going to fix everybody's circumstance? Like where do you even begin to do that? Like you wouldn't even
usually people sorry.
Yeah, like you wouldn't even I can't imagine that our legal system would even consider something like what you're saying, right? Consider their background before you charge them. Consider their background. So that means a poor murderer would get less time than a rich murderer because the poor murderer lived in poverty, and you would expect crime from poverty areas, right? Like that's kind of what, in my view, that's kind of where what you're saying is leading towards, right? If they live in poverty, you can't expect any better than criminality. So it's kind of this like deterministic type of mentality where if they live in poverty, you can bet they're going to be criminals, and so you cannot hold them responsible for their criminality. That's kind of what you're saying. And it's kind of the same thing with this reparations talk. Like it's like you're saying they are descendants of slaves, so you can't expect them to do better. Like it just doesn't carry much weight to me. And either way you put it, like the same way this idea of they grew up in poverty, so you must expect crime is the same way the court is going to look at that and be like, no, we're going to charge him as if he was rich. We're going to charge him regardless of all that. Like when it comes to where you are in life now, you know what I'm saying? To try and blame slavery for that is just the same way that I think a court of law would look at you and be like, you're blaming what for what now? It's just kind of ludicrous to me.
Okay, American Dream. I have a question for you. So what is it about us that you feel that we don't need the reparations for? Like what it has to be one thing in your mind that's saying like, no, I don't want the Black American to get it.
Good
Because
question.
if you get it, because getting it means that you, Dex, are correct and black people are psychologically damaged. Like I refuse to believe that black people are psychologically damaged. I think black people themselves, even FBA talk about everybody copying this. Like when we want to be the best, like if you hear FBA talk, they claim they have the best culture. Everything about them is the best. So but somehow they have a psychological damage, but everybody wants to copy them. Like you can't have it both ways. You just cannot have it both ways. But the main reason I'm against it, again, to not keep repeating myself, but you would be admitting that something is wrong with y'all on a mass scale.
And
all of y'all have a psychological. And what's wrong with that?
Yeah, what's wrong with us admitting what's actually wrong with us?
Because when the white man told y'all that y'all were inferior, you told him to go F himself. You were like, hell no, we're not inferior. Now you're admitting to being inferior. Like that's what's wrong with it. You're saying
we're not saying that we're inferior.
Well, what are you saying?
What are you saying? If you're psychologically damaged, bro, and everybody else is psychologically okay, you're saying you're inferior and you need to be repaired. Only something that's broken needs to be repaired. And anything that's broken is inferior to anything that's not broken.
That's false. And I'm gonna tell you why. We're not saying.
Would you rather a broken car or a not broken car? Would you rather a broken gun or a not broken gun? Which would you prefer?
It all depends on the circumstances, and that's what I'm saying.
What circumstance would you prefer the broken thing to the not broken one?
See, this is the problem though. See, and I'm gonna answer the question. I rather us be broken now and then build ourselves up to become the people that we need to be. That's the difference. If we just had everything.
And you need reparations to do that? You need reparations to become the person you need to be?
Listen, that's a part of it. What I'm saying is,
that's a part of it.
If we just had everything and it was already just always, if we already just had it, we would have nowhere to look forward to. We would just be who we are supposed to be before the shit actually occurred. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that we looking at it in a bad light. We looking at it as, look, we just need to have a footing in what we deserve. That's all we're saying. If like I said, if somebody break your car, you're gonna be like, I need you to pay for my car because I didn't personally break it. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't do that because I have.
One second, Leonard. Hang on, Leonard. People in the chat, can y'all please hit that like button, please? Yeah. You're here. You must be liking what you're hearing because you're here. So just hit that like button. Do us all a favor and hit that like button. All right, go ahead, Leonard.
Hold on.
Okay, hold. Just one quick thing. KD, you said you're holding your daughter, right?
No, that was me.
No, that was Dex.
Oh, that was Dex. Okay, KD, Dex, whoever is just talking about holding their daughter. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing.
Right.
Were you married before she was born?
No.
There's the problem. You are the problem. No. That ain't got nothing to do with psychological damage. That has to do with sexual irresponsibility. Now, my son came over because I was doing some lawn. Stop. Let me finish. Let me finish. No, I was doing some lawn work. You know, I'm an old man. My son's sitting outside right now. He can't hear what we saying. I could go outside right now and on a random whim be like, "Hey, son, was your mother and I married before you were born?" And he would say, "Yeah." And I could ask him, "What year was your mom and I married?" He would probably say he don't know. We were married in 18. I'm not 18. Damn, so I'm messing up. 19.
Hold on, but you talking law.
Oh, stop.
You talking law.
I ain't talking long. You the one that's doggone got a child out of wedlock. Now
Hey, but
I'm
listen,
the one that
but
doggone got married.
So you're saying just because you're married that you're a better father than I am? That's what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I'm a better person in general.
That's not true.
Bullshit.
That's not true.
Hey, son, thanks for doing you dig with the lawn work. I had to ask, and I was on this live stream something with some people.
Mute yourself, Leonard.
No. Were your mother and I married before you were born?
Yeah. We all met in Germany.
We met in Germany, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got married. We was in the army.
Yeah.
Fell in love.
Yeah.
Then we made you.
Yeah.
Thank you, son.
But you're not proving. You're proving our point.
Not really making a point.
Proving what point? I'm proving the point that I'm sexually responsible, and that you are a sexually irresponsible black man, like the rest of these sexually irresponsible black men, which is the reason you have all of these black women that have these children born out of wedlock.
What about
children?
Leonard, you were in the military, right?
Oh, hold on. Let me ask him.
You were in the military, right?
Hey, you have any kids, son?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so you're proving our point.
I'm not proving nothing.
Okay, so let's say hypothetically.
Is your son in the military?
What's next? My credit score is 720.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the credit score. Yeah,
the Experian is 720, but the other ones are like 760 and up.
760. Yeah, your credit score is 760 plus. Yeah.
Leonard, is your son in the military?
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Okay, he's not in the military. Is he a police officer?
No, he's not.
Okay. All right. So
hold on. Let me. Are you a police officer? No, that's what I thought.
My
son don't even like the police.
Stop harassing your son. Leave your son
alone.
Harassing me. I'm chilling.
This is crazy. Oh, they asked if you were in the military.
Yeah. I lost like 3 fingers, but I'm good. Yeah,
so you lost 3 fingers.
So you lied.
Thank you for your service,
you asked
sir.
if he was in the military. He's not now. He almost lost 3 fingers.
Leonard, what the hell? Really?
KD.
Yeah, really.
KD, hold on. 1 second. Leonard, so were your parents married before they had you?
Yes, they were, and I was the last one born. I was the 5th child. I was a oops baby.
Hold on.
My daddy came home from work, and my mama said, "Guess what?"
Okay, what about the generation before that?
What about the generation before that?
Yeah,
that's my grandparents that had 10 children.
Okay, were they married?
Dex, he
were married.
Look, hey Dex, he already cooked himself because
I didn't cook anything, bro. Look, number one, look. First and foremost.
Wait a minute.
Hang on, gentlemen. Let me say something, please. Hang on, y'all. We're getting to the 3-hour mark. We got 10 minutes before the 3-hour mark. So we're going to say our closing words. So I got to shut this down. So whatever else y'all want to say, include in it. Just know that you're giving your final words, because I gotta get out of here. And I'm going to start with, we're going to say our closing words in the order in which we came in. So the last person in here was Leonard. So Leonard, say what you're saying so we can get out of here.
Okay, I'm gonna say this as I go to make a beer run. Bottom line up front is this.
And the topic is reparations. Say
this
something
is
about
not
the topic.
A doggone rainbow. Okay? That is a Louisiana Creole flag. Okay? Yes, Louisiana Creole. I'm successful. My son is successful. You see, he came over. That's paid for. This is paid for. I'm about to go make a beer run. He's just hanging out with his dad. He's just hanging out with his dear old dad because I'm too old to be doing all this lawn work and raking the leaves. I got all that yard over there. I got all the yard over here, all the way to the back. And then I got down there good over a quarter acre of land in my backyard.
Who made it?
And you know what?
So it's his last word. Let him say it. Let him finish up. Finish up, Leonard.
Okay, his house is bigger than mine. And you need to see my doggone who I'm like, this is my daughter, because I cuffed her because she was parentless. Okay? 6 children.
So
She
you
gets
get out of wedlock.
no.
Hold
I
on,
said
Dex. Let the man finish, please, Dex.
see that? I said I cuffed her as my daughter. I'm not her biological father. She knows who her father is. Her father and her mother died in an accident when she was like 10 years old.
That's
Finish up,
So-
Leonard. Finish up, Leonard.
Yeah. So that's the deal. The thing is, look, you can't say that your doggone had enough manhood in your system to marry a woman before you made her a mama. You a typical doggone raggedy ass nigga out here in the street like the rest. I'm going on mute.
Thank you, Leonard. Dex, go ahead.
You meant KD because he went in.
You're absolutely right. KD, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Don't mind if I do. So let me just first start by saying Leonard lied. I asked him whether or not his son was in the military. He said no, when in all actuality he was in the military. And this goes to prove my point when it comes to reparations. Reparations comes down from a long line of systemic issues that the U.S. government put in place. Not even just U.S. government, honestly. Europeans.
Wait, you're not saying he lied because of slavery?
No, he didn't lie. I'm not saying he lied because of slavery. He lied in order.
Yeah,
so
I'm not getting your point then.
Okay, he lied so he could prove his point. Because my point earlier in this conversation was that when you are raised, your upbringing plays a large role in what you decide, the decisions that you decide to make in your life. It plays a very strong impact on that. One of my points was being that people who are in the military, usually their kids usually end up being in the military. People who are teachers, usually their kids end up being teachers. People who are slaves, a lot of times their kids, not a lot of times, but in most cases, their slaves take on the same mannerisms, ideologies as the slaves, right? So this is the quote unquote harm that's done to the psyche of Black people, which justifies reparations. Right. So that's just one of the things. And also too, I want to mention that also there are a lot of studies that are done on this, by the way, and everybody agrees that Black people are owed reparations. Now, unlike the FBA's, all Black people, for the most part, most Black people are owed reparations, not just American Black people. But reparations are most certainly owed and should be paid, but it's up to us to get reparations or take reparations rather than trying to ask for it benevolently, because nobody's going to give us anything. Our only option is to take it. And I'll just land my plane right there.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming in again.
Of course, man. I appreciate you, American Dream. I want to say this too, bro. I wouldn't be surprised if we were related in some type of way, bro, because you sound like some of my cousins and stuff like that. I ain't gonna lie. I wouldn't be surprised if we were related, but I'll just leave it there. Thank you for having me.
We're all related, bro. We're all related.
We
We're
are,
all
but I think
brothers
more
and
directly,
sisters.
though.
All right, I got you. All right, bless yourself.
Bless up, man.
Dex, go ahead. Final words, reparations.
Okay, so I just want people to, this has nothing to do directly with reparations, but I just want people to do more research on what they think they believe. And I really think people should do deeper research and critical thinking, and also learn to comprehend the sources that people read, because it's getting very dangerous in the sense of where people are getting their ideology, you know. And I would just say, if you are for Black people around the globe, then I think that it's heavily needed for us to have these conversations and do it in the appropriate manner. And also just sticking together through thick and thin, you know. And that's really pretty much it. But I really suggest people just if you think you're at a dead end in researching something, just keep on going because information never stops. So just keep going. You know the truth is to set you free. You know, so you know the truth gonna be the truth, the facts gonna be the facts, and I live my ideology based on facts. You know, so I hope everybody else do the same.
All right, blessings. Thanks again for coming in, Dex.
Yeah, for sure.
Respect. Yeah, people. So the last thing I will say, my final words, is to the people in the chat. On your way out, please hit that like button before it gives me psychological damage and I have to charge you with reparations. I have to ask y'all for reparations. So just hit that like button, please, on your way out. You know what I mean? Thanks for stopping in. We're going to see y'all again sometime during the week. And stay blessed, man. Thanks for stopping in. You done know.
I want you to listen very, very carefully.
Tell the youth them for be strong. You can't tell the youth them for preach wrongs. While you trod it on these lands, just remember every man is equal. Yeah, each one teach one. And our Father God, him are the only done. So make we reason. Smoke trees, span the ends, all the deep meds. Take a look at life and don't close your eyes. Sometimes things happen and it's no surprise. And I just so it go. It's a government now have no heart, them no care about poor people. Yeah, bigger heads no love people again. Them more than little of them. Me see friends now reason again. Vex through whistle a blame. More time it hurt me to see how the face deal with the eagle of them. Regular me see it a pain. Take a look at life and don't close your eyes. Sometimes things happen and it's no surprise. And I just so it go. It's a government now have no heart, them no care about poor people. Social commentary. Drop the one, your principle, you don't know. The global will come and do it. Some people life every day, it's stress. The high price from JPS, that topic is currently. Jah alone, him a go help you. We need food, cause we no healthy. We a feel the pain, beg you protect we. In a life, we have no fenve. Take a look at life and don't close your eyes. Sometimes things happen and it's no surprise. And I just so it go. It's a government now have no heart, them no care about poor people.